what's up? It's Alyssa from Mixed Up Money and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to answer some questions that I asked my newsletter subscribers to send in and that I love to read. It was really cute to see some of your guys' comments and how excited you guys are about my new book. So thank you guys so much for the support. But let's jump in, let's start a little chit chat and let's share. So the first question I got was, sorry, I'm gonna read it off here so I won't be like always looking, but what recommendations do you have for keeping up momentum and productivity when working from home? And they also wanted to know about the best ways to maintain structure and minimize distractions. And I read that at first and my immediate reaction was to like go to give that really dumb advice that people are giving, like
find a way to have some separation from work and play
and all that kind of stuff, which ultimately is not the reality for so many people. Like a lot of us have roommates or we have an apartment that has like one bedroom and the rest of our living space. So I'm not gonna say how to make your office space work because the reality is that it's just not possible for some of us. So I will though give you 3 things that I do every single day to kind of keep productive and make sure that I'm staying on track working from home. I've been doing it for 3 years now and I've learned a few things about just staying focused, because once you kind of let your mind wander or once you give yourself the freedom to do other things, it's hard to get back on track. So the first thing that I do every single morning is I make a checklist, but I will not put more than 6 items on that checklist. That is my maximum. If I try and do more than that, it just doesn't work out. So I guess kind of find a number of things that you feel comfortable accomplishing that is like not unrealistic, because a lot of us try to attempt way too many things in a day. The second thing is once I have that list, I tackle one of the big items right away, because as soon as I've finished one big thing, I feel accomplished and it's also out of the way, so that when the day starts to go on, the sun starts to come out, it's like a beautiful day outside, you feel less stressed about having to finish this thing, and it's just like you're kind of finishing up some work and getting some easy things done in the afternoon, like sending emails. And then number 3 is to give yourself breaks, because one thing about being in an office is like your day is full of so many breaks that you don't even realize. You either are small talking with your coworkers, or you're going to grab water, or you're running to the washroom, or whatever it is. You break up your day a lot when you're in an office, whereas when you're at home, you're kind of just sitting in one place, or even if you leave your office for a second, it still could be the one place. So essentially, like, I give myself breaks every single time I eat. I always pick a 15 to 20 minute YouTube video that I can watch or listen to, and then I also just like go check the mail whenever I'm feeling like I need a little mental break. Classic, my camera's going to die. How can I charge it while I'm doing this?
2 hours later.
Okay, I am back, and it is much later because apparently I couldn't charge and film at the same time. Who knew? The second question was, can you share some more favorite home recipes that you're making during the quarantine that are cost effective? Yes. Okay, I've been loving cooking and that's usually not me at all. So I'm gonna share 3 recipes in the description box below for you guys. One is this bomb.com stovetop macaroni and cheese. I've been making it constantly. You've probably already seen me talk about it, but if you haven't, you should try it. The second one is these yummy spicy peanut butter noodles. I just got all the ingredients for it and tried it. It's so good. And it's like 15 minutes and done. And the last one is the easiest ever cookies that you can make. They're oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. They're so good and toddler approved, of course. So number 3, why was that so hard? Number 3. What was the process like writing your book, and would you write another one? The process writing a book was pretty cool, actually. It's very long, complicated, and my book wasn't even very heavy duty because it's a journal. So the first step is I had a publisher. They kind of gave me an idea of what we were going to be working on, how the process would work, so I kind of knew the gist of it, I guess. So the first thing I had to do was submit a proposal for the book. Once the proposal was accepted, or we knew that we could move forward with the project, we did the contract and all the signing and all that kind of stuff. And the very first thing we did was went over the outline together to make sure that we were on the same page, so I wouldn't start writing and putting a book together and they didn't like it. Once we had a solid outline, I then sat down all weekend, every weekend, and wrote the book. Once I submitted the first draft of the manuscript, we did a lot of editing. We talked about the illustrations in the book, we talked about the cover, all of that kind of stuff, and made sure that everybody was happy with the final product. And then, yeah, we sent the book off to be printed. So sounds really simple, it's not, but there's a lot of great steps in there and it's a really cool process because you learn a ton. As for writing another one, I'm sure you will hear about that very soon. Number 4 was how to set up an RESP, and actually probably like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 were all about RESPs. People are very interested in learning what they are, how they work, which one they should choose. So I'll do a quick explainer for you guys, but I'm not gonna dive too deep into it because that'll end up being an entire video. So if you guys want a full blog post and a full video about RESPs and how they work, comment below, like this video, and I will get that done for you. So if you don't know, an RESP stands for Registered Education Savings Plan. It is a special type of investment account that Canadians can use to save a college fund or post-secondary fund for their kids. So like any kind of investment, they sit in a tax-sheltered account, but they're also eligible for government grants based on like your income and all that kind of stuff. You can open an RESP with any financial institution, and then inside your RESP, you can have anything you want from a GIC to an individual stock. I have my RESP through Wealthsimple, simply because that's where I keep a lot of my investments and it just seemed easier. I like their platform. I like how easy it is to add money. And the best thing about it was that they sent in all the paperwork that I would need to send in to see what grants I was eligible for. So that was really nice. It's totally a personal preference where you set up your RESP. So I'm not going to say where you should do it, but you should definitely do your research, make a pros and cons list. But I will say that there are definitely more pros to having an RESP than cons. The 5th question was, how do I gauge my budget for my first apartment? I love this question. I remember how exciting it was to move out for the first time, to be paying rent, to be paying for my own groceries, all that kind of stuff. Big deal. I'm going to link down below to a rental guide that we put together on Zolo.ca that goes over everything you need to know as a renter, like how to find a good apartment, how to find a good landlord, because that stuff is very important.
Sorry, big truck starting by.
That stuff's super important. I made a lot of mistakes as a renter that I don't want other people to make, so definitely check out the guide. But generally speaking, if you're trying to figure out how much apartment you can afford as a renter, you're gonna wanna figure out your income and your expenses before you find a rental. And then once you have that number, you can add in some additional expenses you know you're gonna have as a renter, like utilities, renter's insurance, those kind of things. And you'll have a really good idea of what you can afford. But remember to be realistic. So I don't know if I'm explaining this right. Say you have, I'm gonna just throw some numbers out, so sorry if the math is bad. Say you have $2,000 of income every month and you have $1,000 of expenses, so you have $1,000 left. And then you add in things like $100 for utilities, internet cable, all of that kind of stuff. These are not realistic numbers at all. And $100 for renter's insurance, then you have $800 left over. So then you could say like, my budget for an apartment rental is $800 a month, but that means you're pressed to the absolute limit. So you might want to be a little bit more comfortable with your number and say like, my budget's $500. Obviously these aren't real numbers because no one can find a place to rent for $500 unless they have 800 roommates. So number 6, how to calculate what value of car you can afford. How much of my monthly budget should go towards that? A good question. You guys are so smart. It's really exciting that you guys are thinking about this stuff because it's so important to get to know your money before you go and buy something, obviously. I actually just went through this. I got a car in October because once we moved from Fort McMurray back to Calgary, we were still living as a 1-vehicle household and it just didn't work anymore. Personally, I can say that of our monthly household income, 10% of that goes towards a vehicle. So that includes like the payment, insurance, gas, if you had parking, all of that kind of stuff is calculated in that total. And that's typically what the recommendation is that exists out there. It's 10 to 15% of your monthly income should go towards transportation. So whether that's like your bus pass or whatever. But again, typical recommendations don't really work for everyone. So yeah, it's personal, but just sit down, map out all of your numbers and see what feels comfortable. Like I always have everything in a spreadsheet, so I just like change the number and I'm like,
does this feel better? Does this feel better?
Until I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm comfortable with that. Number 7, what are your top toddler toys that you can recommend? This is an especially important question right now because we're all stuck inside. So I will share some things we've been using today. The first one is a marble set because you can like put it all together and build it in tons of different ways, which is amazing, so much fun for adults and kids. The second one is this slide. You know this slide. Everyone knows this slide. It's very affordable and I can tell you, we've definitely made it worth our while. We have used this slide. She has used this slide so much, but it's like the best thing we ever bought because we can use it inside, outside. In the summers, we put it like going into a little floaty pool. Yeah, definitely recommend that. And the last thing is puzzles. This is my go-to brand because they're really durable. The size, like the piece size are really good. Piece size? The size of the pieces are really good. Like, I think it's good for any toddler. Number 8, how are you deciding on / handling what you're posting right now? I just really want to avoid hurting people with my words, and I never want people who do follow me already to feel like they need to unfollow me because of the things I'm posting. So it's not easy, but I also feel like for my own mental health, I cannot just constantly be talking about the negative side of it. And I honestly really hope that if I was saying things that are offensive, people would call me out for it. I think that a lot of my followers are good for that. So I trust that you guys would tell me if I was being offensive. Let me know. Number 9, why haven't you started a podcast? Is that in the plans at all? You guys, I've totally been thinking about this. I actually sat in on a podcast webinar last month just to see what it was all about and how you get started and how it all works. And then I, at the same week, had to do some voice recordings for work. And after recording my voice for 20 minutes straight, I lost it, 1. And then 2, when I had to edit the audio, I began to hate my voice. So yeah, I can't imagine having to do that. I have a lot of really good ideas of things that I would want to do for a podcast, but also I realize that there are so many out there and that there's a lot of coverage for financial news and information in podcasts, so I just don't know if I have a place there. But you guys let me know if you want that. Maybe I would consider doing like a 1 or 2 episode kind of series. I don't know. Let me know. Okay, the last question I'm going to answer is, what is something in your budget that has been removed because of COVID that you don't think will go back in? I thought this was so interesting, so I actually sat down and looked at my budget to see like what are the really significant impacts that this has had. Lots has obviously been removed from our expenses because my husband is now working from home, so we're spending less money on gas or parking or just that kind of stuff. And I don't have like a gym membership, and I'm not playing sports anymore, so membership fees are cut. But I feel like rather than say like we're removing it, it's not coming back, we don't need this, it's more like I'm realizing the value of these expenses. Like, I need a gym membership because it was providing me so much motivation I didn't even realize. And I miss soccer, that's my social thing. So I just don't feel like there's anything that I would not add back in. That is it for questions. I got so many awesome ones, but I can't answer them all because I will be talking here for hours. And also a lot of them are very personal questions. And I just want to remind you guys that I'm not a certified financial planner. So it's not really fair for me to tell you guys what to do with your money, and I would need to know way more information about that. I'm in progress of pursuing that kind of stuff so that I can actually sit down with readers and talk to them about their budget and let them know what they're doing wrong, but I'm not there yet. So I appreciate you guys asking for my advice and my opinion. But yes, just that disclaimer that I feel like I constantly have to remind people. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, you can give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel, and I will probably see you next week, but I don't know. I'm playing things day by day, so talk to you guys soon. Bye.